The accountability will not come from the state agencies, not without change. It won't come to the courts, not without a lot of change. It won't come to state agencies without change in some major personnel and leadership. And it won't come on the federal level without, again, a complete change in leadership that's there. Why? Because these special interests, as Ginger has found out, and most of the city of Flower Mound has found out, are very powerful, they're very well moneyed, and they don't even have to be doing this. Deborah is going to be addressing that, I hope, for the later point here. About, we have 78 years of gas under cap right now. Why are they continuing to do this? Well, there's some financial reasons, and it's all about stock prices, and it's not about the need for gas.
Exactly.
So what this requires is a change of attitude and a change of leadership. And that's the hardest thing to acquire for most people because, as you say, unless someone, I would be willing to bet 1% of the people in this city really care about gas drilling until it comes in and sink a gas well next to somebody's school, their house, their church, or their parks. And until that happens, then all of a sudden it's, wait a minute, what's been going on? Yet Calvin's people have been facing this for years. And now, what ought to happen is, and this is why one of the reasons I'm running for Congress, is that a single phone call from a congressman, and this all comes to a screeching halt. And that phone call is to the EPA and says, I want to study on my desk by Friday of next week. I want to know what's going on down there with my constituents. And if it comes back with the figures that I think are going to happen, then I'm coming home next week and I want you and your EPA lawyers to meet me because we're going to go up here to the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Texas and consolidate a matter from the United States District from the Northern District of Texas. And we're going to have a little lawsuit that's going to be called, and we're going to have a very big injunction hearing. And we're either going to say this all stops, or certain things are going to be in effect. We will put on evidence from experts. And oh, by the way, if you need a little leg up on what's really going on down there, I've got 2 or 3 or 5 people here, and I've got about 10 more who've been studying this for a long, long time. And they'll give you a leg up and hand you the data. They're not going to be stingy about this. And in fact, I'll bet you I can get half of them to come testify before a United States District Judge. You'd have about a week-long hearing, this matter would be stopped. The second thing that would happen is, Congressman would call and say, I need to talk to somebody in the Texas Railroad Commission. Mr. Weems, because if he's there, I know I've got an open line there. And I said, Mr. Weems, what's going on out there with those gas wells, and why don't you have sufficient ability to regulate this and know what's going on out there? Now, if Jeff's in that chair, I know what he's going to tell him. He's going to say, I got 33 inspectors covering the entire state of Texas. Is that right?
86 for the whole state.
86 for the whole state.
33 north of Boston.
How many wells?
387,000 facilities, and including wells in the state.
Mr. Williams, we got a problem, and here's what we're going to do. I know the EPA governs water and air because they don't care about state lines. And if you tell me what you can handle, we'll take care of the rest. And then you call people like Calvin Tillman and you say, Calvin, I understand you got a problem out there. He's going to say, yeah. He says, well, I'm not only going to speak to the TCEQ, I'm sending the EPA down to you. I want your data, I want your reports. And by the way, what kind of city ordinances do you have? Because we can have a conference in Dallas next week with multiple states and multiple cities to help them control and work ordinances inside municipalities, because as a federal entity, we can't control inside a municipality. Don't want to. That's their job. Home rule city. Let them do it. But here's what we can do to give them some help. Now, that happened about 40 or 50 years ago with lots of other things. It's been done before. This isn't reinventing the wheel. It can be done. And they have a lot of uniform acts come up to the states. We then go down to their legislature and pass one right after the next. Things like electrical codes, things like building codes, things like that got passed uniformly throughout this country. Why? Because people's houses were falling apart and things of this nature. So this can be done. Now, that being said, we're going to go to questions. Because no matter how complex this subject may appear at times, when you look at it from the perspective of what's the right thing to do for the health, welfare, and safety of people, it becomes pretty clear.